Hi, my name is Brizvano, and I'm here to talk to you about VR and its uses and benefits in our education. Before I start talking about those, though, I just want to describe some of the basic components and features in VR itself, or more so in the hardware. Alright, so we're going to talk about three in particular: the lenses, sound, and how the sound's immersive, and then finally we're going to talk about the way that it tracks us. So first off, the lenses. This piece is very essential to it, but very simple still. Essentially, it goes off the premise that there is an effect that happens to us as humans, that when something is very close to us, we lose focus on whatever it is that we're seeing. So, if something's really close, such as putting your hand in front of you, or your finger or whatever you would like to, you can kind of see double of it. And the problem with that is VR needs to be implemented right on top of your face. So to fix this, they have these curved special lenses, which mimic your eye in the way that they curve. Even that, though, is a little bit not intense enough for what they need for what VR is. To fix this, they make segmented lenses for VR, so that they can each refract light in their own way, and it will give you a lot of focus and light so you can see exactly what you're looking at, which, in my opinion, is actually one of the most interesting components in a VR headset itself. The second part is the sound itself. Now, I mentioned the sound in particular because it's more for the immersive experience, but it is about as simple as a headset. In fact, actually, some VRs use exactly that, headsets, specifically like phone VR. They actually put headphones into you instead, or you can use your own headphones. And yeah, it's more so just, it's very immersive, and it adds an element to it that gets us deeper and deeper into the virtual world. It's like without having sound and vision, your brain doesn't exactly make the connection that it should always. The last component that I want to talk about is sensing technology, which will vary depending on from device to device, but most of them have two standard settings, which one is head tracking, which is very simple. It just uses a gyroscope inside of the device that will tell you whether or not you're moving to the left, right, up, down, so on and so forth. The more complex one, though, is positional tracking, which is done by adding sensors into a room that read light that is reflected off, specifically an IR LED light from the actual helmet or sensors they hold in your hand or whatnot, and that will exude light, and these sensors will be picking that up and kind of give you a good spatial area of where you are. However, that is not fully the case, because this is exactly how motion capture is done, but motion capture needs so many different points. With VR, you have maybe 4 or more, a lot more if you have markers, but unlikely. So to compensate for this, they use what is known as an inertial measurement unit, which is also known as an IMU, and this has accelerometers and more gyroscopes to kind of give your positions. It uses velocity and everything like that to actually give a good space of where you are. So the combination of both these sensors catching the light from your machine and this IMU give a very, very good reading to where you are, and that's how we're able to be so specifically in one place in VR. It's very interesting. So, now that that's done, we have a better understanding of what VR is. I want to talk about how VR helps in education, which helps in two major factors. It helps in bringing in immersion and space. Now, the immersion aspect is almost self-explanatory, almost kind of duh-like. It is essentially the fact that it adds another element to learning, and that increases retention. It's very similar to how a teacher would teach you in the back to write down what you wrote down, read it, and see whatever is in the lesson. It's just retention, retention, retention. Immersiveness adds activity, and in some cases VR, you can do it again and over again, which again, helps with retention and learning. But besides that, the other more important one, in my opinion, is the use of space. I'm not talking about things such as like the cosmos, but instead more of a volume aspect, where we are able to create environments, and more importantly, things such as laboratories in VR. This is huge because laboratories themselves cost a lot to make and to run. However, in VR, they would be a computer program of sorts, or some type of software. Now, making one, even if it is as expensive or more expensive than a lab, you have actually made hundreds as you are able to share this technology with more people that can download or have access to VR technology. So the spread of information, the spread of easily accessible education skyrockets. But besides that, it also adds the ability to make labs and learning safer, as they don't harm anyone involved in case someone was to accidentally make a chemical reaction or things of that nature. And again, they're very immersive, so it really helps with early education. But besides just early education, VR itself is actually being taken to the medical field and is also being used in various ways there. Of course, it's still being used to teach, but it's also being used in particular for preparing surgeons who are going to go into surgery. They can test their skills essentially in VR before actually partaking in helping out a real human, which again is safer for said human and gives the surgeon experience and more comfort before actually going into the field. Now, besides that, it also gives people who maybe have more comfortability or are more comfortable essentially in surgery to plan out and map in a virtual world what they're going to do for their surgery and practice it before an operation. Which, I don't know about you, but it would make me feel a lot safer if my surgeon successfully operated on me in a virtual world before doing it in real life. It lets me know he knows what he's doing. Lastly, this pertains to AR a little bit as well. This isn't 100% new. AR and VR were used in the medical field, but primarily just AR, such as using technologies as the Nintendo Wii's controllers to essentially test steadiness of hand and just help surgeons. So this isn't something new, but I think this addition of VR is going to be very, very helpful in adding, again, that immersion and just that new aspect of training that I think we really need. And I just thought that was very neat, and I wanted to share it with people, so I'm glad I got this opportunity. So, thank you so much for listening, and I hope it taught you something, or at least you were glad to hear another VR enthusiast. Again, my name is Brizvano. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.